Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey guys, I'm Carey Pena. Thank you so much for listening to Carey Pena Reports and for watching our live stream on Facebook and YouTube. You can always see all of our shows and stories at inspiredmedia360.com. Today we are talking about how to be a trailblazer. And I want to introduce you to a woman who is just that, Tyler Butler. Ty, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks, Carey. I'm excited.
You have such a great story to share and so much information that is useful for business people out there, whether you're running a big company or a small mom and pop. I think you teach people how to be responsible out in the community. I want to talk to you a little bit about what that means, corporate responsibility.
Really, corporate responsibility manifests itself in so many different ways. It's really about how companies leverage either what they do as a business, activate employees, perhaps participate in some kind of in-kind support. It's financial support as well, but it's really a full circle view of being a playmaker in society and doing something for the betterment of the world.
Talk to me a little bit about your background. We're gonna get to more tips from you about, and also talk about the businesses that you think are doing it really well. But let's talk about how you are a trailblazer. Have you always been like that? Because you've had a lot of great press over the years about sort of taking your career in new directions. You were recruited to go to GoDaddy. So talk to me a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a family that was really nomadic. My parents owned a construction company. We moved all the time. So I am definitely in tune with, having to make new friends and go new places. But, graduating from college, I was in publishing. I started College Times, and then from there I worked in nonprofit for years and really have an affinity for organizations that do good work in our community. And I saw a trend emerging where corporations were really making more of a strategic, conscientious effort towards how they give back. And I knew that's what I really wanted to do. And so I kind of started segueing my career that way, my education that way, and I had an opportunity to work with Microsoft. So one of the world's most philanthropic companies.
Yeah.
And it was truly amazing. Got to learn from them, help them launch a big effort in conjunction with the Microsoft stores and their enterprise offices, and creating a One Microsoft is what they called it. And through that, gave them some really great presence in the community with volunteerism and giving, as well as leveraging their physical spaces. So,
and then talk to me about what you launched for GoDaddy, because you got tons of press over that.
So I got recruited from Microsoft to come over to GoDaddy, and in doing so really got to reimagine their entire philanthropic efforts. So made their giving a little bit more strategic in alignment with their business, did a whole bunch of work in activating employees and giving them paid time off for volunteerism, grants for that volunteerism, matching the donations they might give, participated in creating some great donation drives, a construction contest that really gets people engaged and activated. In-kind support, which I think is so important to help nonprofits if you have a business that can give something gratis. A variety of ways, and then their global efforts through a campaign with Kiva.
How important is it, though, to align sort of this your efforts in the community with something that is really true to your heart? Because authenticity is the key.
Very much so. I think that the programs that you launch need to have a real impact of giving and wanting to do well, but at the same time, they need to align to your business. I always look at companies and who they are aligned with as far as their charity partners, and the ones that do it best find some common thread between their company culture, between what they do as a business, and what the mission of that cause is. And it gives them really nice overlap so that they can make a bigger impact.
So when someone comes to you, say it's maybe a mid-sized company, and they come to you and they say, we need help being more active in the community. We need help with because essentially it is brand building is what you're helping them do. What is sort of the steps that you take?
It's really about having a deep dive conversation, looking at employee surveys, looking at company culture, speaking to the C-suite, finding out more about what they do as a business, there's not a one-size-fits-all program for CSR. It really is something that has to be unique to each company. And then looking at what their resources are. Some companies are well equipped to give financially. Others really need to look at ways to leverage employees and activate them, or perhaps do some kind of roundup campaign and give back in that capacity. So looking at what's available and also what makes sense for them and is going to ring true to their values.
And how does this tie into brand building?
Positive sentiment is an authentic part of what you get from a good corporate social responsibility program. I think some companies want to shy away from, singing their praises, but there's a really great way to do that in just storytelling, taking the cause per se and looking at the impact that the company has had on them, or perhaps an employee's perspective and how the programs that have been put into place have made their life better. So I think there's a way to do it, and it brings about brand loyalty as well.
Yeah, and that's huge. And you sent me a list of some of the brands that you think are doing it the best. Can you name off some of those?
Yeah, Zappos recently did a great campaign that I just found really intriguing, and they partnered with animal welfare leagues across the country. And what they did is, between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, they, actually put financial resources in to adoptions of pets at any of these animal welfare organizations. So, a really great way to help pets, to help the pet population or overpopulation, and, to again have a nice cause marketing campaign and tie in with their brand.
You also like Tom's.
Tom's is one that I think will always stand out because that social component is hard baked into what they do. Their one-for-one campaign is what put them on the map. And so there is a good feeling to be had every time you purchase a pair of Tom's shoes. You know that another kiddo who really needs them is getting a pair of shoes too. So
plus they have really cute shoes.
I know, right?
So
that
really
helps
good
as well.
Speak to me a little bit about how you face down the fear, because you have left some big jobs, and some might say, are you crazy walking away from that job to go here? And you're not. You seem to be unafraid of the unknown. Yep. And how do you do that?
I live fearlessly. I do think that's a mantra. That's an important one to have. Plus, I think that a lot of perception out there is that maybe there wasn't planning, but there absolutely was planning before a lot of these endeavors are launched. And it's just stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and getting, opportunities to do consulting before I even left GoDaddy.
Yeah.
And so it just came about very organically for me, but it's kind of exciting as well. It's what's today going to bring?
Yeah.
And every day's a new adventure.
Who is it that inspires you the most?
For me, my biggest inspiration is my mom. She was a working woman. She, was 50% part of my parents' company, yet she was always involved with our athletics, always involved with our schoolwork. And she continues to inspire me just through the way that she lives life each day.
She has some significant health issues.
Yes, my mom has rare heart disease, and so she does have a defibrillator in her heart, and we've had quad bypass. We've had several different surgeries, but she never lets it get her down. She really finds a way to function, through all of that, and it kind of has rallied us as a family as well to be closer.
What is it like to see your mom exhibiting such strength? And that's a scary thing to go through.
Yeah.
Quad bypass, and ongoing heart issues.
For sure. I think it's kind of looking at her as an example that gives me the strength to not be afraid in so many instances, because what she's struggling with is so much worse, than anything I've gone through.
Was there anything that she ever said to you along the way that stands in your mind about how she doesn't want you to be afraid, or how she feels confident in her future?
My mom just always lived by the mantra, you can do anything that you believe you can do, and just really instilled that into me. And so I think that that's a big part of, keeping me fearless.
And this has, speaking of causes, so you're involved, obviously, or have been involved with Go Red for Women. Mm-hmm. I'm involved in the Heartball Committee, and those are important causes that raise a lot of money for research. And I know for us, we're dealing with trying to get CPR, hands-only CPR, into schools. But these are very, very important issues.
Really important issues. In fact, it's funny because one of the first causes I volunteered for when I graduated from college was Go Red for Women. So I was one of their ambassadors, and if you can still find my profile with the story of me and my mom on their website, and so it's near and dear to my heart.
What would you like to say to your mom?
Just that I love her, and she inspires me every day, and I'm so thankful and blessed for every day I have with her.
Do you think it is so important to really be involved in things that mean something, so you're not just walking through the paces?
Very much so. I think that if you have a personal connection to a cause, that you're going to dive much deeper into what you can do to help them than if it's just something that you've maybe signed up to do. I think that there should be a personal connection in some way, whether that relates to what you do as a business person or personally in your life.
Have you ever met a CEO who's just blown you away, who maybe when you came in and said, maybe we ought to do this, they were sort of lukewarm, and then that they did such an about face and really wanted to be that community-driven person?
I don't know that I've had a CEO with that kind of interface, but I've always blown away by Bob Parsons.
Bob is so great.
I've had the pleasure of working with him and Renee a little bit, and he gets philanthropy. He gets that it's important, but when I went about reimagining the GoDaddy program, I had to go pitch it to Bob and, sit in front of him, and there's nothing quite like having someone, of his stature in the community say, I really like what you've got going on here, and kind of praise you for the direction that you're taking a program. So I just really admire him and Renee very much for their efforts.
What do you think it is that he does that is sort of that magic recipe? Because I feel like he has it, and also he's so sort of politically incorrect. He lives his own authentic life. I've had the pleasure of emceeing some events and giving him out awards, and he's so successful. And he's so wealthy, but man, he lives on his own terms.
I think that's what's so attractive about him in business and personally. He is just himself, and he is a very hard worker. He is very driven. He lives by very high principles, and I do think he gets involved with causes that are personally important to him. And it rings true when you see him at these events, or you see another press release about what the Bob and Renee Parsons Foundation is doing, because it's so connected to something that, he's involved with.
Because as a business, it's dangerous. You don't want to be just another press release.
True.
You want it to matter. I mean, I've worked in a newsroom, and those press releases come in and people, they don't even look at them. You need for it to matter.
Agreed, and that's why things like what he does with Semper Fi ring so true, because he is a Marine, and so his help of that cause and the amazing money that he has put towards them and the resources, it just makes sense.
What are you doing in 2017 that you're most excited about?
I have a couple of endeavors, one of which is Front Doors Media. I have joined that team.
They are so great.
Amazing. The Evans Communications Group is phenomenal, and I am fortunate enough to be their fashion contributor, and so fashion and society actually, and so I have a column there, Giving in Style, and I'm getting to interview some really great people and organizations, and it's kind of about the intersection of where fashion meets philanthropy.
And you just interviewed Ali Hilfiger, who was in town for the Focus on Lyme event.
I did, and Zhang Tao, so he'll be in my next feature. So it's every month, it's something exciting and great. And I'm going to be launching a blog. It comes out later this week. It's givinginstyle.net. And so that'll be a deeper dive on kind of my adventures in philanthropy and fashion, which, my passions.
And what does it feel like to be living a life that you love?
I'm just very grateful. I am very grateful. I feel like every day is a blessing. I feel like, hard work does pay off. And I think the hustle is important, and you just got to keep with it.
I mean, you got a heck of a resume. So I'd imagine that you don't have to go out searching for clients, because I would think that people would want to be working with you for sure. And I'll be looking for your blog. I love Front Doors and all the folks over there. Thank you so much for coming in today and chatting with us about your rise to success, and you're continuing on this path now. Yeah. Blazing it as you go. So thanks. I appreciate you being here. And thanks to all of you for listening and for watching Carey Pena Reports. If you're watching us on YouTube, just go ahead and click on the screen to subscribe or to watch the next video. Today's show produced and engineered by Shannon Hernandez, brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.